Um, um, Fat loss has always fat loss has always been simple. It will always be simple. The only thing that makes it not simple is all the people in the fitness, health, oh, hummingbird here. All the people who are trying to sell you something, and they make it confusing because the way to do sales and sell stuff, one of the ways is you highlight and exacerbate some problem, especially using fear, using insecurity, just amplifying the pain, and then providing the solution. Um, and in that, since everybody has, and then they're trying to differentiate, um, it becomes more and more complicated because in in reality, um, if everybody was actually just trying to help, they wouldn't do what they do. They would all say the same thing: be strong, right? So do some type of strength training where you're strength training, to simplify, is like squeeze your muscles, body weight, weights, barbells, dumbbells, get your heart rate up, right? um, or do something that gets you gets you using your cardiovascular system, um, and then generally eat uh, real foods that are lower in calorie density. And that's the typical stuff: fruits, vegetables, protein, lean meats, eggs, real stuff. And that's pretty much it. Like, but the problem is people love to just be divisive. And this is our team. Those people are idiots. Uh, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Blah, 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 blah. And meantime, um, the people who are actually trying to lose the weight, it just gets harder and harder for them because it's so confusing. Now, the way to get through that confusion is two things. One is going to be understanding what fat is, because fat is there for a reason. Um, Nature doesn't do anything by mistake or that's wrong. Everything is part of a perfect system. And so we'll talk about that. But the second thing is um, doing. Like, you will learn more and have a better understanding by starting to actually just do stuff. That will give you far more knowledge, true knowledge, than watching. And yes, it's always ironic because the people who are trying to help are on YouTube and they're telling you not to watch YouTube. So I understand that, but that is the case. Um, you've already seen enough videos. What will actually give you that knowledge is to start doing the stuff, and then you will figure it out along the way. 100%. There was a time where I didn't know anything. I actually could not get results for about 9 years at the beginning, and then got a coach or I started working at CrossFit. So there were some, people obviously knew what they were doing because they had been doing stuff for a long time, and got results for the first time in my life. And what was I doing? We were lifting weights, uh, doing cardio every day, running, rowing, body weight stuff, um, and that was like in 2008, and started to eat just real food. So like at that time, I was doing uh, the paleo diet before it was known as the paleo diet. So, and to me, it was like I was just eating meat and vegetables. And so, of course, if you just eat meat and vegetables, you're going to get lean. That's just what's going to happen. Um, Very difficult to not get extremely lean eating meat and vegetables because it's so calorie or low in calorie density, and it, you know, fills you up. You just can't overeat. I mean, you can, but it's very unlikely. I've never seen anybody who became fat because they ate too much meat and vegetables. Um, if you know somebody, introduce me. Um, but so to go back to the first point of what is the purpose of fat? Like nature does not make mistakes. Um, Everything is a perfect system. Just because we don't understand it or we don't like it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with it. The purpose of body fat, as everybody knows, is not so that you don't look good in your clothes. It's or you feel unattractive. The purpose of body fat is in the case of where the animal does not have access to food. Hopefully, it has enough food stored up as body fat, because that's what body fat is. It's calories in reserve. So you could just think of it as these are your food stores in case, or your food reserve. So in case you don't have food, you can use all that up. And like logically just observe, right? When there's starvation or, whatever, people don't have access to food, they don't get fat. They become extremely thin and frail because eventually the body will use as many calories as it needs to survive. So if if I want to get rid of that fat because those food stores, because I don't like how they look, because here we are, we live in 2026, and like we don't have food shortages, or we shouldn't. um, then what do I need to do? I need to use up. I need to use up the food stores on my body. Like this is it. That's all it is. So what are the two ways I can do that? Well, one, and it's a combination that's very important, but one is you can simply just start having more of a demand on how many calories you need every day. So how do we do that? We work out, we do our 10,000 steps. We want to move as much as possible. That's it. So my recommendation for that is do fun things, right? Find fun ways to move, because if you don't like running, or maybe you're too overweight, or maybe you got knee stuff and right now you can't run, or you find, well, it's connection. All right, we're back. So don't force yourself to do things that aren't fun. There are millions of ways to find enjoyable movement. Maybe that's walking with a friend. Maybe that's scrolling on your phone and walking on your treadmill. Maybe it's walking on your treadmill while watching a show. Like it could be gardening. It could be playing cornhole. Um, it could be playing pickle. Point is, find one way that is fun, okay? Because then you'll want to do it for the sake of doing it for the sake of fun versus, oh, I gotta go run 2 miles. Look, if you do enjoy that, that's great too. But we want to reduce friction. Um, Running is actually, I think it's great. It's an important human movement. It gets your heart rate up, but it's not the right thing in every situation for every person. So, um, so that's the first thing, right? Move more. And people will always do this stupid shit of like, it's not that simple. Yes, yes, it's not that simple, but it is that simple. Like, do you want it to be simple? Or are you just creating content and saying shit so that you could get attention and more likes and comments and engagement? That's the problem with social media and content, is that the main purpose for people's content is not to actually say something that is actually for the best interest of the watcher, but it is for the best interest of increasing engagement. Okay. And obviously, like we have nuance. Like, yes, content helps people, but overwhelmingly, that's the purpose of it, right? Like, it can still be helpful, but for the most part, it's not. Like, people just get more confused. So, um, so moving more, number one, and then number two is eating less. You have to, if I want to tap into the reserves, I can't keep bringing in the same amount of food that I'm using every day, because then there's no reason to tap in to the calories stored on my body. So how do you do that? Again, same thing, in an enjoyable, relaxed way. You don't, if you're trying to force yourself and do it in the like most, like, oh, I'm just gonna eat bland food. Yeah, I mean, it'll work, but you're not gonna do it because it's not enjoyable. It's not relaxed. So my recommendation is, obviously, this is um, eating generally real foods, since they are less calorie dense and they fill you up more. Plus, they have all the vitamins and minerals and everything, and then you'll feel better. Everything will work better. And um, counting calories. What you learn from counting calories for even 3 months, 6 months, it will last you a lifetime. You just know how many calories different things have, and then you can avoid eating just massive calorie bombs. Now, the the last part of this, right, is going to be the conversations that you're having with yourself in your head. So this is the real issue that prevents us from doing the stuff and losing the fat, right? Um, we'll pick a random scenario. It's stressful at work. Okay. Somebody's making your job harder than it is. Maybe you're unhappy with the amount of work that they're giving you and the long hours, and then the pay is not matching that, et cetera, et cetera. And so you're trying to, okay, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to lose weight. You're like, okay, I have this, even I have this food that I made and I'm going to eat it. And you didn't because it was super busy. And then on the way home, you're pissed because on the way out, they gave you more stuff. Well, that conversation in your head, based on your perspective and how you're feeling, will probably lead you to stopping at Jack in the Box and getting 1,500 calories worth of food, and there goes your calorie deficit for the day, right? And so you could take that example and then extrapolate it. Like maybe you're trying to, and then you get an argument with your spouse, and now you're like, fuck this. And you go out, you have a couple drinks, and you again eat a bunch of greasy food. There goes 2,000 calories. See you later, calorie deficit. So, for this part, what do you need to do? Well, remember, this part works like this. It's the three B's. Okay. It's we want to change the body, but the body is changed when the behaviors change, right? So when you start being active, you start eating healthy, but the behaviors cannot be changed at the level of behavior. They are influenced by the beliefs. Beliefs are just thoughts that you keep thinking. Okay, so right now, there's whenever something happens, you already have a programmed uh, default thought process on this, and you just start repeating it automatically. Okay, so that's fine. The practice here is start to observe what you're saying, and then we change it to what we want it to be. And what's going to happen is your behaviors are going to start to change by themselves. Okay. And I think the first and most important one is just to start knowing and like knowing that it's possible for you to get as lean as you want, getting as strong as you want. If you don't think it's possible, then somebody who doesn't think it's possible to get very lean is not going to go to the gym and work out. They're not going to make healthy food or try to make something that tastes good and is low calorie. It's just not going to happen. Um, so you have to think it is possible and believe that by just continuously telling yourself that, like, I'm going to get so fucking lean. I'm going to get shredded. I'm going to I'm gonna be so healthy everywhere I go. People are just like, holy shit, like seeing and imagining these things, like, oh my God, it feels so good to. And I know it can be difficult, but that's practice. It's just practice. Like what do you have to lose? You're already doing this all day, every day in the opposite direction. You're doing this, talking shit to yourself, feeling guilty, feeling bad all day, every day, and it's creating your reality, it's creating your experience, it's creating your behaviors. The behaviors are creating your body, right? So instead, we need to, oh, there's a black cat. Instead, we need to start saying the opposite because you're doing it anyway. This time is passing anyway. um, and you just have to ask yourself the questions and then put yourself. One thing you can do at the behavior level is put yourself around people who are doing those things, who want to do those things, who are positive, supportive, encouraging, and you will get there, right? So, anyways, it's very simple. Don't let anybody tell you it's not simple. Um, if that's, by the way, you can do whatever you want. Like, I'm assuming since you watch, or if you're looking at anything that I'm sharing, it's because you do you're less like you want things to be simple and effective and not complicated. So, but if you don't, then first of all, I don't know why you're watching my stuff because that's all I talk about. Ps- 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 ps. Um, but if you don't want it to be simple or you just believe it's not simple, then hey, you can go find your complicated solutions and do it that way. I mean, it doesn't have any sort of bearing on how we're doing stuff. So, anyways, um, if you do want to join a community of this, and like, I don't, I don't think loud ass kids, man. Um, why are you yelling? And I can hear you all the way across the pond. It's 9 in the morning. But if you do want to join a community, I don't really advertise coaching too much, actually, at all. It's usually just if you want to work with me, you can. If you don't, who cares? Um, but what I did want to do is just like, you know what? Just tired of all the complexity and bullshit. So we created, I created a group on school. So if you want to join there, it's $49 a month. Basically, you could ask any questions. I help everybody as much as I can. I'm always there. Um, and then if somebody like I want it to be like I don't need or want to charge $1,000 a month. Like I have done that. And it was effective for those people who signed up. But the process of going through that was like, it's just not for me. Um, but what I will say is um, I want to create this group where it's all about simplicity, effectiveness, fun, friendship. Um, like we're just trying to have fun. Like we're just trying to have a good time, make some jokes, laugh, um, get in extremely good shape, have the best information. So by the way, like I always talk about simplicity, but I do know all the technical stuff. Like I already have gone through all that. All roads all point back to squeeze muscles, get winded on purpose, and most things don't matter. Very few things do. Most things don't matter. So, oh, so if you want to join the school community, I think there's a link somewhere. All right.